Will, thank you very much for joining me on InsurtechTalk. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me, man.
My pleasure. And because you're actually grew up in Austin and didn't migrate from California to Austin, how's real estate?
Oh man, well, I've got one friend that's a residential real estate agent. He'd tell you it's been a journey. At one point during COVID, he would literally take his computer to bars and restaurants to write offers. As soon as they came in, he'd just sit there and they would, come in one by one. Now it's a little bit different. I think the market went through a cooling period. We're now seeing things get back to a point of stability, but nonetheless, my wife and I spend most of our time at the house taking care of our 13-month-old, as we were just talking about. So I'm probably less clued into the real estate market as I probably should be, but I'm focused on insurance and childcare.
Yeah, two very important things, especially on your side. And people should know that today we are actually talking about health insurance. So we're going to talk a lot about AI, but again, not PNC, health. And health is important because, well, we all need it and we all really want to keep it. But before we actually jump to all that stuff, because you're from Austin and actually an original person from Austin and not like, I think that at this point, I know dozens of people who moved from California, Silicon Valley to Austin, to South Africa. Actually, one of my colleagues is outside of Austin in a nice ranch or whatever that may be. Barbecue. What's your go-to barbecue place?
Oh, I mean, man, there's so many. Austin is, of course, home to a handful of great ones, whether it's Terry Black's, Franklin's, Lambert's downtown, of course, La Barbecue. You've got even Rudy's for your day-to-day. So I think you could probably hit all of the core barbecue food groups just with a couple weekends here in Austin. But I think one of your ideal days is Saturday, home football game, show up for a barbecue lunch, hit the tailgates for the mid-afternoon game. And then if you want to get a barbecue dinner, you can do that too after the game. If you just want to hit all of the spots in a day, it's very possible. If you're feeling really bullish, you could even get Rudy's breakfast tacos on the way to your lunch location, which is an aggressive move, but I've certainly seen it done before.
Well, just do it in your 20s because otherwise it will be a great segue to talk about health insurance and heart attacks. And
that's
because
right.
I was, where was that? The one that is south of the lake. So it will be Terry Black. Yeah. I think that I was like, it's in the list of the must visit one. It's like, I'm just going to have like a little bit from everything. And when you have like those big jobs, it's like, there is no little about it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of my first visit to Austin. It was like, there is a checklist. You need to go through it.
You do it, man.
Yeah,
but do it.
Of course. And then you ask yourself, it's a river. Why are they calling it a lake? And you also have a note, don't ask. Don't ask. It's given. Take it. It's a lake.
It's a body of water, which in Texas is all you could ever ask for during the summer, man. It's the only way you can survive.
Is it as humid as Houston, or is it actually nice?
Definitely not. Yeah, it's very nice here in Austin. Houston is too humid for me, man. I can't do it. I do spend a lot of time in Florida, which is very humid. But Florida, you've at least got the beach, lots of activities. Houston, is less so of a beach, just very humid. But love my Houstonians. Got a lot of friends from there. Frankly, some folks on the team have spent some time in Houston, and it's very humid nonetheless, though not like Austin.
Well, visited. Actually, have family there. Long story. Let's talk about health. So, Gyde with the Y.
That's right.
What do you guys do?
So Gyde is building the next generation platform for ambitious agency owners that both feel like they still want to grow and they're not by any means ready for retirement, but have just hit the limits of the current capacity and their system. We believe that our AI platform can help to accelerate their growth trajectory, empower them to have richer, more contextualized conversations with clients, and ultimately get them back in a state of playing offense from where many feel like they are today, which is in the state of defense. We partner with agencies through acquisition. So it's a fairly unique model in that, we acquire the agencies we work with, but it allows, us at the Gyde level to align our incentives one-to-one, both economically and from a consumer or employer satisfaction perspective with the partners we work with. So far, we've seen great returns from the model. We're moving folks through the both acquisition pipeline and also from a value creation perspective, integrating our platform into their day-to-day operations and gearing them up for growth here during this next Q4 and open enrollment annual enrollment period that is ever looming, despite one that most folks are still licking their wounds from as you think about Q4 of last year. So we're excited to continue on the trail and talk to more agency owners about partnership possibilities.
So we're going to talk a lot about AI like everyone else. We're going to talk about a brokerage OS, kind of, teasing towards all the geeks who was like, oh my God, the operating system. It's like everyone is iOS, whatever S. But at the same time, what most of my audience are PNC. So we're going to use this great opportunity to talk about and using you as an expert about what is health insurance. We had a few health insurance and benefits and others on the podcast in the past. However, people don't really know how different it is, because when we are looking, it's like, yeah, you have the PNC and life and health. Although life and health shouldn't really be together, because life is by itself. It's like very different. Yep. So let's touch a little bit about bigger scheme, a bigger picture. What's going on with the health insurance and what's the role of the broker? And don't tell me, oh, it's a broker like everything else. It's like the intermediary. Yeah.
I think you don't have to look too far to find somebody that's had a challenge with their health insurance. The market in many respects, I think, is going through a unique period of, multi-segment disruption right now. So, as I like to say, there's kind of nowhere to hide. Carriers don't seem to be doing very well in, employee benefits, Medicare Advantage, individual, those are the markets we serve at least. The brokers aren't having a great time either. And so I think in some ways it's a very difficult period of time to be in health insurance. That is why we think it is an incredible time for Gyde to step in and say, hey, what if we helped become the platform that can solve some of these challenges for the broker and be a differentiated, more strategic partner for the carrier to ultimately improve the system? As much friction as I think there can be at times between the various stakeholders in the industry, and, I was an Oscar for 10 years previously, so I kind of understand it from both sides of the table. I actually think that a broker in the fashion that we believe, we can enable is the greatest strategic partner for a payer, especially if we can extend their capabilities beyond just enrollment and renewal of insurance products into things that would actually benefit the payers, kind of key metrics that they're following and watching as well. So I think that makes you a stronger fiduciary and supporting vehicle for the client, and also a better partner for the payer. So in many ways, I think this is an all hands on deck moment for our industry, and Gyde is here to, enable a broker to be a better part and larger part of that change that I think we're going to have to ultimately, create here in the system.
And for those of you who are less familiar, Oscar Health, or just Oscar, is it's kind of the first new digital carriers in the health insurance, kind of the lemonade. It started the waves of, let's call it the InsurTech sector in the health insurance. And they went public. Well, and from there, I will not comment on their stock price or anything like that. And of course, like always, I need to give the FINRA disclaimers. Nothing that we're going to talk about is some sort of an advice. And and we're not going to give any advice anyway. Sorry. So I just derailed us as I always do. So let's go back. How, in terms of the market, how many are individual? How many are going through their group insurance through their employers? How and where the brokers actually shine, as you kind of mentioned earlier, mainly with the individuals.
So maybe, we'll just start with maybe like where we're most focused on. So the vast majority of the country, just to answer your question directly, is covered by an employer. But 25 million Americans are covered in some form or fashion by individual insurance. You've got a large fraction on Medicare, whether that's Advantage or through supplements. We're playing in all of those spaces, right? So we're partnering with agencies that service the employee benefit community, largely the small to medium employers, less so kind of the large jumbo groups, but then those that do individual under 65 and those that service the Medicare Advantage and supplement population as well. So that's kind of like where we play. We think that that's like roughly half of the country as you think about just like the addressable for us in terms of what we're attacking. And in many respects, we see brokers largely do specialize in kind of either consumer or employer, but increasingly I think that the lines are getting blurred from those three segments within the health insurance population. You're seeing, more liquidity in those markets. I think the disruption on rates is forcing folks to find novel solutions that sometimes create some grain or blurring of the lines between the respective products. And so for us, we think we can be a partner to those agency owners that are trying to find solutions for their clients and an enabler for them to continue to grow without sacrificing the white glove customer service that they built the business off of oftentimes.
So you worked for Oscar and you were there for 10 years. What made you leave and launch Gyde, or Gyde was that?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've been trying to build some variation of Gyde really since 2019. And if you think about my tenure at Oscar, I held a number of different roles, across that decade-long arc. I, launched markets in the earliest days of the company's expansion lifecycle when they were moving from, New York and New Jersey to start to enter other markets. Managed some of the state-level P&Ls. Actually led Oscar's technology business for a couple of years. Commercializing our member engagement suite and technology solution to other health plans and providers. And then was a kind of key leader within the ICHRA growth effort of the company as my kind of last tour of duty. That through line, though, was really the broker and distribution. For us, I was kind of watching on the ground how the markets actually function. And I think when you're launching things for the first time, you have to get really in the weeds and understand at a fairly granular level what the value chain actually looks like and who's performing which roles. And what I saw is the broker was really the entry point to the system for consumers and employers, oftentimes across insurance, financial services products, even light touch wealth, and to the extent in which some were leaning into this, their actual healthcare journey. But when I was watching the investment that was going to insurance distribution relative to maybe the clinical space or what payers were getting, I was pretty underwhelmed. It felt like relative to the importance and position in the value chain that the broker, maintained, they weren't receiving near the investment in, AI tooling and infrastructure and applications that, maybe some of their peer set or peer partners within that value chain were. We said, look, let's go change that. We think we've got real disruption in the market where it gives us an opportunity to solve meaningful challenges for the brokers day to day. And I think enough energy on the carrier side to try to find new and novel solutions, not just to get folks covered, but to ultimately help manage their own healthcare journey in partnership together.
We see the same in P&C because at the beginning, everything started, of course, from the big buzz. Okay, we're going, the lemonade, the hippo, the core system. This is where most of the money, most of the investments went to, right? Big numbers. It's like 6 trillion. People are throwing out all kind of, this is the TAM, this is the, it's like, what can you actually sell, right? And then slowly and surely, there were all the digital agency about disintermediating the brokers, the agents, who needs them. And then you go like, we need them because we don't know how to sell insurance, and they know, and they've been doing that. And as it progresses, people kind of realize it sort of dawned on them that selling insurance is not simple, because unless it's car insurance that you have to, everything else is, you need to do that and you're not sure, and I just ask dad or my friend, what am I using, what should I use, and it's goddamn expensive, or it's a one-sided contract. And when it comes to health, oh my God, I have no idea. It's even worse, because you feel that who's taking the decision. It's like, you absolutely have no idea what's going on there. And then the money started slowly moving towards the distribution. So we've seen a few of the big brokers coming out with the broker tech, a accelerator in where are they based? Not Des Moines. I'll go with Ohio somewhere.
Columbus, right?
I think so. Maybe it's a Murphy, Holmes Murphy, and Brown and Brown, a couple of those guys. And then there are more and more. And when we talked earlier, it's like, your model is very similar to a model of Covo on PNC. They do homeowners, renters, car, very simple. They
Yeah.
it's like, let's have not, they don't really use the word of the OS of insurance, but most definitely it's all about how can we make agents and brokers work better, and kind of the OS, the operating system for them. And
Totally.
to prove a point, we're going to buy a few of them and increase that in the same, as we build the technology and the services, they can just use the services, or we can buy them and increase our own native. I love the fact that there is more and more emphasis on that as we see more and more startups growing and going, how can we actually serve the retail and the small commercial with better solutions? Because that's as you mentioned, that's kind of the bottleneck. So what is your, let's call it, the operating system? How do you do your magic?
Yeah. So when we were looking at the solution set that existed in the market and the problems that kind of needed to be solved for the agency owner to do some of the things we just mentioned, continue to grow, but preserve this kind of white glove, customer-centric operating model that they had built the company on, we needed to help them automate renewals, survive Q4, be able to get the clients dynamically the best product in front of them at a scale today they just can't. Two, though, is if you were to move that client, or even if they stay in the existing product, be able to service the product itself and the client. So client service automation was a big part of what we wanted to do. And also, as a part of that, support the account management infrastructure for the agency, right? It can't just be a tool for the producers. The account managers has to get value from it as well. And then finally, sell other products, right? So allow them to expand the breadth of services that they offer to their clients. We're not quite doing P&C yet, but as you think about, the products that we could conceivably offer, life, ancillary, health insurance products, of course, are very much in the wheelhouse for us, and even some of the lighter touch wealth products like annuities, and we'll extend into 401k and over time I think more traditional RIA services. So for us, giving the platform to those partners that enables this is something that I think they've always wanted to do. Like, I've yet to meet a broker that says I want to cross sell less. I just think that we haven't necessarily found a great mechanism to do it at scale until now.
It's always cross-sell, upsell, whatever you can do.
That's right. And I think increasingly what we're seeing is, because of disruption in the market, there's now an existential need to do it. I think that benefits are only going to be getting worse based on the disruption we're seeing in the market. Premiums will continue to increase. I think what this might create is an opportunity for brokers, and perhaps an existential one, to be a stronger guide or fiduciary to their clients and offer other products to fill coverage gaps, give them the robust kind of policy or coverage infrastructure that they had, previously, right now, through ancillary coverage or otherwise. So actually now is the time where you have to cross-sell to be a, strategic advisor or a comprehensive guide, hence the name, for your clients. Whereas before, you might have seen the products were rich enough where you didn't need to do it. I think now it's a must do, not for anybody's bottom line, but for the client's own coverage.
Should we talk about AI?
Let's do it. Does seem to be the current area of interest in every meeting I'm in.
Listen, I do my best to avoid it and talk about it at the same time, because it's like, okay, what's your AI? Yeah, give me your spiel, and it's like, oh, we do it. It's like, so are you a rapper? Are you using open? What are we doing here? Is it your own engine? It's like, are you running? It's like, so there are different ways how actually AI has been used. And we had Sasha, I forgot her last name, who studied astrophysics under Hawking, to explain a little bit more about AI and the proper, what's actually AI is all about. But that was a more kind of for the geeky guys that wanted. But yeah,
and maybe I'll just start with something like very basic. When I sit in these kind of conferences or rooms of agents, I'll traditionally ask folks, hey, how many of you use ChatGPT or some kind of consumer-facing application, whether it's Claude, Gemini, or otherwise? You get just a basic question answer. Lots of hands will go up. Then I'll say, how many of you are applying AI in your own business to improve, your own economics, the satisfaction of your clients or your teams, and just automate work. Most hands go down. So I still think there's a fairly large kind of chasm to cross from, using AI as an individual to actually, applying AI into your commercial environment. And that is where I think we can add a lot of value. So, our tooling largely should exist without them having to be insanely knowledgeable about what and how AI works. Our job is to bring team members that know that to our partners. And so one of the things I like to say about our model is we're both high tech and high touch. I don't just give you an AI platform that's automating renewals, dynamically responding to clients or getting answers directly to the broker or account manager to conduct the response and, identifying opportunities to cross-sell. We're bringing a team of individuals that are staffed and dedicated to our partners. They show up in the offices, working hand in hand in the trenches, post-acquisition with these partners to help grow these businesses together. I don't think that you can, simply lob these products out to any part of the value chain, whether it's on the agency side, clinical, et cetera, without more hands-on support. I do think doing it right carries incredible advantages. I think doing it wrong can also have a lot of downside. We have a lot of empathy and respect for that notion. I've seen how this can, work firsthand. And ultimately, we want to show up for these partners that have given us the opportunity and responsibility to be a partner for their business, for decades.
How many of them actually care about if it's AI or not, or they want to see kind of the user experience behavior that we've been fed into by ChatGPT, Perplexity, etc., which is like, here is a bot, here is a line, start chatting, it will give you the answer.
I think practically speaking, most brokers we talk to just want to get back to doing what they thought they got into the business to do, which is, win new business, advise clients, have rich conversations to be, a true strategic guide for these partners, clients in their case, to save them dollars, improve their coverage, be an even larger kind of guide for their family. The entirety of, I think, those relationships are why they got into the business. That is not where they're spending time today, though. So I think what they do is they see AI. Time? Well, right now they're spending time swimming through their inbox spreadsheets or PDFs, or on carrier portals and websites. And, I'm not sure we're seeing many producers or agency owners that are even spending 50% of their time on new business growth or having truly rich conversations strategically with clients. I think it's the non-strategic stuff. And so, I think they see AI as a mechanism to alleviate some of that pain. But what do they want to do, practically speaking? They want to automate work. Yeah. They want to get out of the low value, high frequency tasks that I think are unfortunately eating up a lot of their day-to-day.
Yeah, it's automation with a little bit of smart. This is where kind of the agentic AI can step into the spotlight and go, it's like, hey, you've been doing it over and over again with all kinds of small modifications. So here's an automation that can do it and can apply, a little bit of intelligence to it and make sure that if it's something critical and you need to define the guardrails, right? It will bring you a prompt and go like, listen, I'm not sure, should I continue? Please review, I should continue, reject, accept, go. And so I've been playing a lot with the anti-gravity recently, and it's like everything is now review, accept, reject. So, proceed. Yeah.
Totally.
No, it's completely makes sense. And especially when it comes to renewal. Oh, no, I'm not sure. Renewals, okay, so I can understand when it comes to collect the data, but there are other things that you need to more the personal element, even during renewals. It's I don't see a robot or any type of AI substituting a person in claims or during renewals or, something that you need a human or a shoulder.
Totally. And we actually don't think replacement is something that is occurring in some of these critical, intimate conversations either. What we think there very much is a replacement, or what I call kind of autopilot solution for, are the things I mentioned.
Yeah, I didn't want to use the copilot or autopilot.
Yeah, I mean, high complexity, tasks, I think still will, or high sensitivity will still sit with the broker. The low complexity but high frequency tasks are the things that we want to automate away. It's low value for everyone in the equation. And if we can even answer those questions faster, sometimes that adds more value in aggregate, right? A lot of those things just get backlogged. They're, not crazy important, but they are absolutely necessary to get answered and or get done. That's where we think AI can add a lot of value. So, if that broker is spending 40% of their time on new business, how can we get that to 80? That would be the ideal state. And then the 20% where you're spending on renewals, the conversation is incredibly rich and contextualized.
Man, I would love to see like a monthly report of this is how much you used and this is how much you saved or how much you earned in terms of your time, your, I don't know, whatever. In your case, like you just earn like 5 more giggles from your baby because the AI did it, make sure to free up your time.
The Gyde impact report is forthcoming, so for sure.
Oh man, that will be awesome. It's like, let's customize it. What's my most important thing? It's like getting more laughters, and my oldest now is starting to walk.
So is mine. It's scary. It's fast too, very fast.
It's a Speedy Gonzalez. It's like a beep beep or whatever, the road runner. Oh my
Pretty
God.
Strong too. I'm like, man, I got like they say old man strength. I'm like, this kid's got like baby strength.
Well, old man strength come from picking them up. This is why it's like, think about, we do interval. I don't know about you. I've been picking both of those lovely girls as well, but it's girls. However, started in 3 kilos and now 12 kilos at least. It's like it's compounding.
They're big.
They're getting big. Yeah. It's lovely. But so starting to walk, and most definitely. I was so happy to be, to notice the first 2 steps by herself, and it's worth it. So if AI frees my time, and I can, I don't know, not the KPI, whatever the metrics is, like by giggles or baby steps, literal baby steps. I'm all in. That's how it's personalized for me. However, going more back to something a little bit more personalized. Back to business, not personal. Your AI iceberg, right? We always see just the tip. And kind of repeating myself, and I do apologize for the audience. Most of the people, as you mentioned, the ChatGPT, they have the line. This is what they write in. They get a conversation. There is a text. Sometimes they ask you, hey, do you like this style, that style? What type of an answer do you want to hear? It's like, okay, great. A/B testing in live. But behind it, you have like a full iceberg. Now, for now, what is the immediate, we talked a little bit about renewals, but what is the automation, or is it, I don't know if it's your LLM or something else, but what other AI things running or automation running behind the scenes?
Yeah. So, you mean on like the client service front or the cross-sell front?
Whatever example you want to talk about.
So, I think the client service one, I think, is a real one. And maybe we'll think about kind of broker co-pilot like infrastructure to just answer questions initially, because I think it's something that's like very much a top of mind issue during Q1, because folks have just gotten their new policies. They have lots of questions. It is really difficult for the broker to be able to answer all of those, or the account manager to be able to answer those at scale. It is, for us, something that can be a solved problem, though. You can embed, in our case, our broker co-pilot like infrastructure into their environment such that whenever a question comes in and they need additional support on diligence, getting that question answered, etc., we have the tooling available for them to simply ask that question and to get answers very quickly and dynamically such that they don't have to be doing all of the diligence themselves. We can automate that through AI with Gyde's operating system. So we can go find, what are the coverage options, what are the plan benefits, in-network providers, anything on compliance questions can ultimately be automated in terms of the diligence and answering those questions and fed back to the brokers such that they can then, have a more fruitful conversation with the client or just answer them directly via email, rather than them spending, half a day going to run that down.
Yeah. Wonderful. We just passed the 30 minutes mark. And we'll go now to a few very basic technical questions. So, and then we'll talk about what's the most important thing that people should know that they don't talk about. And that's kind of like final question about health insurance, or to be precise, Gyde Health. How long have you been in business? When did you launch Gyde?
We've been in business now for about 9 months. We launched
That's it.
mid last year.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we're still early days, but we're moving fast. We've got our first couple acquisitions closed. Super excited about the pipeline of others as well. And so I think for us, we're very much focused on continuing to accelerate the product roadmap, finding partners that are both, commercially and mission aligned, what we're trying to achieve. And that's the core of kind of our next 12 months is just those two.
Wait. How long have you been developing the product?
Since day one, man. Since day one.
No, so that's a past of 9 months. So what? Okay, so 9 months just development. Is the product live? The SaaS part?
The product has been live since Q4 of last year. We shipped the product for AEP for the renewal automation component for Medicare and the individual market.
Okay, okay. Oh, so yeah, we are Q1. Oh God, time flies. So we are talking about what, like 4 months ago, 5 months ago. So development.
Yeah.
Few months.
But we're developing constantly. I think
of
for us,
course,
we're launching new
iteration.
Yeah,
it's like you are now on version, I don't know, 2.3. 0.5. I don't know. Anything else that people should know about Gyde?
No, I think the parting statement I just have is if those are looking for a partner to help them rapidly improve their growth rates, alleviate the kind of capacity limitations that they're starting to see in their own operating model, and would value a partner, that is economically aligned with their success, we'd love to talk to them and, show them both how we think about partner-centric acquisition and ultimately bringing resources to those partners post-acquisition help fuel the growth.
Amazing. Will, it was a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for sharing a little bit about health to the PNC crowd and the problems, especially on distribution, because it's everywhere. Whenever there is a broker, people don't understand the value of it and the fact that they need technology more than the endpoints. Thank you very much 100%. For your wisdom. Thank you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.